Hello and welcome to Model Railroading for Dummies, the how-to show for model railroading dummies just like me. Now, in our last episode, we got the ground all ready so that we can pour the cement for our sidewalks. Now, if you remember, the last time we poured cement, the cement I had a lot of clumps and stuff in it. And that caused a little bit of trouble and a little extra work to fix it. Well, if you remember from an even earlier episode, I had this strainer here that I used for sifting soil, sands and stuff to get a much finer soil. Well, I use this in preparing the cement for pouring our sidewalks, and no clumps. So, if you have cement and it's been sitting around in a moist milk room for the past year or so, and so it's a little bit lumpy, this is the way to go. So, the cement's all ready to go. So let's go over to the railroad behind me and let's get pouring. Okay, here we are again. Now I got everything here, all the sidewalks and everything cut out. So now I got some cement mixed up. So now let's start putting in some cement. Just put it in the cracks. Get it all nice and smooth. And once again, I got the the ice cream bucket of cement under the edge here, so I don't have a cement floor on top of my carpet, on top of the cement floor. Okay, now what we want to do here is to kind of get cement down to the road. So it's a nice, smoothish type transaction so that you can relatively easily get from the sidewalk to the road. Now, what I want to try and do is come up with a slight curb of some sort. Right along this edge here. Most streets would have a curb of sorts. Not exactly sure how I'm doing this, just sort of winging it. What I'm thinking of doing here them on, but this curb looks awful. Now, I'm going to take my finger, or fingers, and try and get something curb-like here so that I think that'll work. I'll dip my finger in a little bit of water. Try and smooth it out a bit. Now let's start over here. Once again, go over here to get the bit going to the road. Scrape away some of this excess stuff. Okay, now go. Now what we'll do is wet this spatula or trowel or whatever it is. Try to get it all nice and smooth. Now it doesn't matter if you get a little bit of cement on there, because I mean we could just first let's just scrape off as much excess as possible. Okay, now I'm down to basically there. Well, that looks pretty good, except for places where I'm a little short of cement. Okay, now let's go for the walkway here. There, that looks good. Try and smooth this out a little bit more. There, that looks good. And once again, let's scrape away at the excess. Need a little bit more. Okay. Okay. Now let's put this down a bit. Use my finger here to catch the edge a little bit. Okay. Now let's get this wet again. Let's have a nice smooth sidewalk. There. Now let's see if we can get some sort of a curb on this side as well. Just try and do your best. You may have a better idea than I do of how to get a nice looking curb, but this is the best I can come up with. As long as it looks tolerable, that's all that really matters. I mean, one thing that you could do to hide poor modeling in one area can be overdone by great modeling in another area. Like if we can over detail this so that you're not drawn to these horrific looking whatever you call these shoulders or whatever, just so they can just pass muster is really what I'm looking for. Okay, I need a dab right over here. Now let's put a little bit over here. There we go. Perfect, but it'll do. Put a little bit over here. I'm going to remove some of this cork here, but I'm going to probably just cut this part off back there. There. Now what we need are the expansion cracks, which are basically cracks in the cement that, you know, for the weather. Now, you can either do this with a hobby knife, or I'm going to use this very, very, very carefully. And I think it's a little bit too wet yet, so we're going to have to wait till it dries a bit. So what you can do is, once it's semi-dry, or even when it's dry possibly, you can either make cracks with a straight edge or something, you know, like with a hobby knife. You scrape it down, just a slight crack. Now, as far as distance between the cracks, it varies. Now, I went to Subway the other day over in Volga for lunch. It's like, oh, cracks here. I can quick measure them out. So I paced off, and then I measured my boots afterwards. Found that my boots were exactly a foot long. Perfect. And so I measured 4 feet. So that's what I'm going to do for these cracks. Do about 4 feet between each crack. I mean, there may be normal sidewalks, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit shorter. I don't know. But that's what we're going to do. I'm going to work on the sidewalk over there. Then we can see what it looks like when we're done. Okay, here we are at the layout. So, as you can see here, it's all nicely dried. So, I don't know how well you can see it, but it's definitely not the nicest looking stuff. But it's still decent looking. As you notice back here, I had a lot of extra cement, so I used that to put in the slope here instead of using plaster or something like that. So that worked out nice, having that extra cement. So I mean, I'd recommend, if you do this process, have a space in case you want some plaster or something that you want to do. Also, I still had some extra, and I had an extra piece of foam. I spread some out on there so that I can use that as a sample for when we want to weather these roads. So that's how she looks. Okay, the cement's all nicely dried, and it looks pretty good. It's not great, but it's not bad either. All we have to do is just make sure that we make the scenery around it a little bit better. It makes it pop a little bit more, and you can hide a poor quality stuff. That's the nice thing about model railroading. If you can make something look better than the stuff right next to it, you can kind of overshadow the poorer quality modeling so that it's not as well seen. So hopefully we can do better quality modeling when we get to doing the grass and stuff. So, if you like this video, please feel free to leave a like or subscribe. And if you do subscribe, make sure you hit the little bell icon so that you can receive notifications when I release new content. So, until next time, just remember, work on those model railroads, get practice in, and, I mean, model railroading is supposed to be fun. Go have fun. That's what the hobby is all about. It's not being about the best model railroader in the world, but let's just have fun along the way. So until next time, keep your train on the tracks.